Oh, welcome back, everybody. This is Feng Shui for Everyday. We're so happy to have you.
We're here today to help find Feng Shui solutions for your problem areas. And so you can get on living with the best life moving forwards. And today, this is Donna Stellhorn and myself, Kathryn Wilking. And Donna has a question for us. So what do we got, Donna?
Yes. So we got a question in that asks, how do I get my partner and my family more involved in the household chores?
Wow, loaded question. We're going to start with one of my favorites. I've been happily married for over 20 years and raised two boys to responsible adults. And I would love to share with you this little tip that I give out called the royal we. Because it's easy to fall into a routine. And, moms do most of the chores and the picking up and the organizing and when it's time to change the sheets and the laundry and stuff. But after a while, if you've got to put together some kind of teamwork to get things done, and this times of COVID, everybody's hanging around the house, right? Everybody else is making dishes and garbage, and they all have to get sorted out. And so to teach these kids some responsibility, we also have to give them some chores and be accountable for their actions. And one of the things that I find when I'm going to talk to people in their houses, there's a lot of blame, there's a lot of finger poking and a bit of trauma or self-righteousness and things of they'll talk about the language. So situations like it's your turn to take out the garbage, or your turn to cut the lawn, and I'm busy tonight, I have to shop for groceries, and why did you buy this stuff? And there's a lot of accusations and tension in the homes. But if we adapt our vocabulary just a little bit, we can still maintain some control in a harmonious way and get people to pitch in and help. And if we try using this royal we, in some different situations, you can diffuse this accusation and this tension in the house. And I'm going to just give you a few examples here, Donna. Something like, we need to remember to, as a group, take the garbage out, or empty the dishwasher, or put the muddy boots where they belong. So that key word, we need to remember to, assumes that we're working on a team for a greater good. If you're asking for help too, you might want to say, somebody needs to, fill in the blank, or we can't go out for a walk in the park till the house is clean. How can we all pitch in? Someone can water the plants, someone can vacuum, someone can take out garbage, someone can sweep the kitchen floor, or whatever. These little chores, and everybody works together, then they all get a reward. And the last thing I have done too with my boys is, okay, new rule. This isn't working. We need a new rule. And so when we and us and them, kids and adults, get together to problem solve together, a lot of times that's the catalyst. We're all in this together. Mom's not a maid, and you're all learning to do these things. But one of the funniest ones, I think, when you're getting into BTB Feng Shui, and there's a mess, like your husband's got a mess somewhere, as I can tell him about, did you know that your side of the bed actually reflects on the whatever's important to him, wealth area or relationship area or whatever. And my husband, we've moved a few times, goes, oh, I didn't know that. And then he'll go clean up his area. So that's important to him. But there's a number of ways that you can diffuse this heightening and this tension of trying to get things done in the house. And so that royal we really, really works if you want to try that out.
All right. Well, my suggestion is that if you want to get certain members of the family more involved in the family, you have to remind them that they are in a family. So you
Mhm.
find where they like to lounge around, and that could be in front of a television or in their room. And you strategically place family portraits in their line of sight. And so you might have a TV up on the wall and you surround it by happy family portraits, and subconsciously they will start to associate themselves into the family. And so that then they are more likely to say, oh, wait, I am part of this unit. Perhaps I should be pitching in. So
Mm.
I think that this also works when you have teenagers in, oftentimes with teenagers, you give them autonomy in their rooms, they decorate however you like. But if you can insist on them keeping a family portrait on the nightstand or by the door where they would look up from their nest or bed to see that, it reminds them that they're not alone in the house, that they're not on an island somewhere by themselves. It's not Lord of the Flies here. And so it subconsciously will start to work. And over time, you'll see more of a connection happening.
I like that. I like that. Can I just expand on that a tiny bit? One of the things that I've done with blended families is actually take the pictures, of grandpas on both sides or grandmas or happy times and kind of put them in a collage in a common area. And so you're not getting this us and you or us and them kind of friction or tension or competition or some. We're all mixed up in a blended family together, and they can see that as well too. But you need to get a bigger space, like a hallway or stairwell.
Recently, there was an amazing book, and at the moment, the title escapes me, but we'll try and put that in the description. But it was about child rearing and creating a child who is really helpful. And so she's, I think, a sociologist. And so she went to lots of indigenous cultures and said, like, how does this happen? And so if you have really young kids, the thing to do, which is what she recommends, is to let them help. Because little kids do want to help. Little kids
helping.
Want to do that. But then because of efficiency or because we're in a hurry, we say, like, you go sit and watch TV and I just want to get this done. But she found that, when the kids did help, they grew up to be helpers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but of course, you have to have the young ones to start this process out with.
What's so funny is it's the grandparents. I still remember my grandmother had the patience. That's a good point you brought. Patience to teach my sister and I how to bake cookies and stuff, because my mom just did all that stuff when we were at school because there was 4 of us and she just couldn't handle it all. But here we are, my grandmother, and of course she cracks an egg with it in her hand and a knife, right? Yeah. Because that was that era, is that they had wooden tables or they had wood. And so now we just kind of crack it on the side of the glass dish or on this side. But here's my grandmother, and I'm about 6 or 7 years old, and I got an egg in my hand, and she just tap it, and I remember just smacking this egg all over my hands. And it was like, oh, very patiently cleaned me up and just, let's try it again. And it was like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. But look at the fond memories. I mean, I can remember that one birthday when I was quite young, my grandfather gave me a wooden box and parts to build a radio. And it was such an exciting thing to be there in his shop with him and use the soldering iron and all of that to build this radio. So, that I think, when we get kids involved in something like that, and the younger, the better.
Little projects that, kids can learn how to cook. Were survival skills after school, I made sure my boys could have something to eat, and so I knew they'd be hungry. And they need clothes, so they had to learn how to do the wash, and they needed to, they had choices to make. And I think that, yeah, there's a little bit of backlash there, but you do what you need to do, and your own kids and what their capacity is, and so they learn from example. So that's, I think, the message for today is these times will pass so quickly, but it's the day-to-day stuff that's really going to get us down, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
so survival.
Being mindful of what we're doing each day is really the key to happiness and balance and harmony in general.
I love that. Well, I'm so glad you could join us today for Feng Shui Every Day. We'll be here next week too, and help you live the best life forwards.